Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion.
Because he'll comment, he'll like correct us very often. He'll like fact checks us. We're making a fancy graphic package now for him so that he can like put in little like notes. I'll have to send it to you. I made him this little tombstone that says "Future Dwight" with like this like old dead tree, so that he can like write spooky messages to the audience. It's like the ghost host voice. What should we call him? The ghost, not our ghost producer.
Ghost producer. That's it. That's gotta be it.
Okay. So Chad's, I like the idea. Okay, never mind. Don't record anything Chad has to say. Well, I guess we could record it for his reference for posterity's sake, so he knows what he said. But don't ever. You just have the voice of the Raven, buddy. No one's ever going to hear your voice. They're just going to read it like a spooky Ouija board in the corner of the screen. And otherwise, you're just going to be an ethereal spirit.
We have to ask the plan chat. Yeah.
Hey, it's episode 6.
Episode 6 already?
I feel like we've really found our magical rhythm, and people are already commenting on that, just saying that we're super best friends, and we love each other, and we're both so handsome, and we just know so much. We're so fun.
Right. Them telling us we're handsome insinuates that we don't already know that we're handsome. So just, guys, we know. All right? You don't need to say it because we know.
Trust us, we know. All right, we're super cool. We know how good we look.
So, we know. As I promised on last week's episode, this is going to be sort of a part 2 of sorts. We were talking about myths and legends last week, if you remember that. So we're just going to I'm going to try to make this the first riff-heavy episode. We're just going to be just chilling the most of the time, I hope. Just talking about stuff, whatever comes to mind. But in today's episode specifically, we're going to be focusing on the attic bride.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know what? Listen, here's the thing I love about the way you're structuring this podcast for the Haunted Mansion fans out there, right? Is that we're telling them exactly what we're going to talk about right at the beginning.
Yes.
Right? And we get there. We cover everything. We do. But we're also then full of silly...
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Around the world in 80 days. Yeah, eventually.
We'll get off track. It'll be a circle, but then like halfway through the circle, it'll go off into like some weird squiggly line and then finish the circle.
Halfway through the circle, it's like, spook has interrupted the conversation.
Do you remember
Sit tighty.
Dinosaur was sponsored by McDonald's?
Yep, sit back and wait for Dan and Dallin's ADD to catch up with themselves.
Yeah. So let's start.
Please appreciate it.
Please, everyone move to the dead center of the room.
Those people like when people want to like climb out all over Madame Leota's table and stuff. Ugh,
right? Yeah, the people who want to do that 8-foot drop behind Madame Leota. Is it 8 feet? Like 6 feet.
It's a lot.
So it's too many feet. We're talking about the bride, though. The bride is the leading lady in the Haunted Mansion. People would say, maybe a tie between her and Leota. But she was inspired by a ghost in Europe. I believe she was called like the Black Widow of some old European castle. I don't have it off the top of my head right now. But the ghost.
I think the trope is a pretty popular trope, right? And we saw it famously in Addams Family 2, Family Values. She rolls in there, she marries Fester. She tries to kill Fester to get his money and then roll on. Like, it's very much that trope.
Exactly. I saw that movie. Okay, so I was completely wrong on the name, but I found it. I saw that movie for the first time last year. It was, I think I would go out, I would even say it was better than the first Addams Family movie.
Oh, it sure is. It's truly a masterpiece. And that the kid in it at the camp with the glasses, he grew up to be like he's on like a TV show about like numbers or something like that. Very handsome gentleman, very very handsome gentleman. If he grew a pencil thin mustache, and then I don't know if you guys have been Googling Christina Ricci lately, but my girl is truly the most Morticia that she could ever. Here's what I'm saying: we reboot the Addams Family with Christina Ricci as Morticia, and I can't remember the name of that other guy, but he was in that show about numbers, algebra, crime solving, stuff like that. Right, the kid from the camp, right. And then it becomes this legacy that like you cast the Wednesday and her love interest specifically in mind in hopes that they will mature into the next Addams.
Oh. It's like Doctor Who, how they would regenerate every time they need to bring in a new actor.
Yes!
And just have the child actors go to legal.
Because how did they know? How did they know that Neville Longbottom's going to grow up and be so goddamn hot?
And now,
no one was looked at that kid and was just like, whew, can't wait to see that kid grow up. You know?
And now here we are, you know, how 10 so odd years later.
Neville Longbottom stan, you know? I don't understand that phrase, but I use it, you know. Did I use it correctly?
I've heard that before. You put him on the pedestal. It's the brown lady of Raynham Hall. Chad, if you throw that picture up. That is her name is the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall.
What specifically is her ghost story?
Yeah, her appearance was based off of the Brown Lady. So
well, yeah, but like, who is the Brown Lady?
Right. So it is a ghost that reportedly haunts Raynham Hall in Norfolk, England. It became one of the most famous hauntings in Great Britain when photographers from Country Life magazine claimed to have captured the image. The identity of the ghost is under much debate, but it is often considered to be the ghost of Lady Dorothy Walpole, who was born in 1686 and died in 1726. The sister of Robert Walpole, generally regarded as the first Prime Minister of Great Britain. Very crazy. And so apparently she had
his sister?
It was his sister. It was his sister. And
it's the first Prime Minister of England's sister is haunting a hall in what town?
Norfolk.
Okay.
Yes. And so, you know, the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, her husband had heard she'd committed adultery, and so punished her by locking her rooms in Raynham Hall. And eventually she withered away and died in that very same house. And she died.
Is this like a sister of the Grey Lady from Harry Potter?
I'm not familiar with the Grey Lady from Harry Potter. Fill me in. I'm not a Harry Potter guy. Tell me all about it.
Okay, well, it's just a Grey Lady who floats around. You know, her mom was Ravenclaw. Rowena Ravenclaw. I cannot say the name. I can't muster it.
And is that what the house was named after?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because there's the four. Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw, and Salazar Slytherin.
Okay.
Yeah, and they were all best friends, and then something happened, and Salazar's just like, guys, I'm going to build a spooky basement, I'm going to fill it with snakes, and I'm going to curse this castle. It was so...
Where do snakes come into this? Because I know snakes come into it at some point with that house.
Yeah, Harry Potter can talk to him. Anyway, it's a complicated story. That's fascinating. I really wonder if there's a parallel. We're going to have to get you hooked on Harry Potter. I don't think that'll be hard. And then once you're super into Harry Potter, I see a video in your future. Is the Haunted Mansion bride the Grey Lady? Because because the Brown Lady, because we have the connection of the Brown Lady.
Yes, ladies of different ghost colors. Yeah. Take a second, Dan. Take a second. So,
yeah.
No, what were you gonna say? Say it.
What were you gonna say? What were you...
I was gonna talk about the attic pride.
Yeah, you tell me about the ghost, buddy. Tell me about the ghost.
All right. So I guess because the brown lady Raynham Hall wasted away, died of smallpox eventually, and she was it's a very famous photograph taken by the Country Time magazine. I have to say it like that. It's Country Time magazine,
Country Time magazine.
You got the banjo playing in the background.
But do you have to jig every time you say it?
Every time.
Because you can't sing the Macarena without your arms moving. You know what I mean?
Right. And so when the Country Time magazine took a picture of the brown lady of Raynham Hall, very, very famous picture, just like what appears to be a cloaked figure on stairs. Again, I believe in ghosts. I'm a very large skeptic.
Is it that spooky picture?
It looks, just standing on a staircase, sort of like a veiled figure, almost bride-looking. I would say pretty bride-looking, actually. I don't know why she'd be wearing her wedding dress in death, though. Who knows?
Hey, it's a day. It was her day.
Yeah, ghosts have their reasons.
It was truly her day.
It was good for her.
Imagine being a woman in the 1400s or whatever, having absolutely no rights or respect or any kind of, just being treated the worst, and truly the only day where it's all about you and is your wedding day, So I think, as a whole, society has treated women poorly, and, good on them for coming back as spooky ghosts and wreaking havoc.
And then after you die of smallpox, you come back and you absolutely slay in your wedding dress because that was the happiest day of your life. In Constance's case, you would literally slay in your wedding dress.
Right. So what was the first? So the bride has been a couple things in the attic,
couple different characters, separate characters.
Right. They've just been there. It's so can you what was the first one?
The first one in the attic was the beating heart bride. Similar to Constance, you can hear her heartbeat in the attic today, but the Beating Heart Bride was a very simple animatronic with a very 80s style perm wig, and she would be holding a candle in one hand, and I believe either an axe or nothing in the other hand, and her heart would be beating, and you could hear it echo through the whole.
Wait, we have to rewind for a second. Are you trying to tell me that her wedding dress and her hair, it was 80s wedding prom situation?
Essentially, we're talking, yes. Very prommy. You look up a picture, you can see the different brides. Some of them are creepier than others. But yeah, this one, the first one, I believe, had lots of is a very perm style hair. And so,
okay, can we just take a second here? I just have to tangent this because when you hear the idea I just had, we're gonna have to call Yellow Shoes himself and get this done. Shoes? All right. Are you ready for this, Talon? Are you ready for this? This idea is about.
I got Yellow Shoes on speed right now.
All right, pull up the internet. Put Haunted Mansion, Disney World into the internet. And then go to the maps.
I'm going to the maps.
Right.
Where is this going, Dan? All right.
All right. Go to the. We got to zoom in.
Zooming in.
You know what I mean? Like have the computer enhance and go to satellite.
Yes, enhance to the whites of their eyes, like they would in CSI, where the resolution just gets better and better as they zoom in.
You're goddamn right, dude. That's the entire joke that I'm trying to make here. Absolutely.
All right, we're at the Haunted Mansion.
Oh my God, this idea is going to work down. Because listen, here's the thing. Now let's just look at this from a satellite view, right? We've got the oddly phallic-shaped rivers of America. I never noticed that before.
Yeah, you're completely right.
What's going on there? We're gonna have to. That's not woke. We got to fix that. So Disney. That's how we're gonna get on this. But we're gonna carve out this whole back of the land here, and it is time.
Come on. Yeah, I got Yellow Shoes on speed dial right now.
We need a Haunted Mansion wedding pavilion like the Grand Floridian has. And to get a Haunted Mansion wedding pavilion, we're gonna need a like Victorian, like crypty, spooky Edgar Allan Poe-esque resort. And the land with an attachment into Magic Kingdom, a la Galaxy's Edge, where you can be where you're in the spirit world out there, but you can through the Haunted Mansion re-enter the park, right? And you just take all that land back there, and you make a Haunted Mansion resort, a DVC resort.
There's room for it too. I'm looking right there. There's plenty of room for it. You could do this.
Right. And come on, the amount of spooky weddings, they would be booked solid 365. Absolutely. To say that you could get married at like midnight in the Haunted Mansion, like that's the shtick. You know what I mean? Like that's Haunted Mansion wedding pavilion. The fact that we have a bride, is it the only bride in the parks? Where there's another bride?
Where's another bride in the parks?
Is there a bride anywhere? A bride represent?
Not in the Haunted Mansion. Can you find a bride?
I'm just saying that I think that we could really. The fact that we're not using this as a a wedding upsell tool is a disgrace. A disgrace.
I believe Disney is sitting on a gold mine here. Okay, so you have this giant Victorian sort of Gothic looking lobby, and then you go inside and you go to like, what would the quick service restaurant be called? Ghost Toasts? Something better. There's something better. It's on the tip of my tongue. What would you call the quick service restaurant? It's a breakfast bar, and it's the Ghost Toast. It's the Ghost Toast. And it's the French Quarter. It's French Quarter French toast. You can't hear me. Come back. French Quarter French toast. French Quarter French toast. Dude.
The Ghost Toast.
Ghost Toast? It'd be the Ghost Toast.
And just Tonga toast. It's just an excuse to just make Tonga toast with purple sauce instead of red.
Someone send this to an Imagineer. We all know an Imagineer.
Yellow Shoes.
Everybody knows an Imagineer. Send this to old Yellow Shoes.
Call them all Yellow Shoes.
We will name every part of this hotel free of charge. I won't.
If you're listening and you want to just start making some concept art, tweet it at us, Instagram us. Just let your imagination. We need to get a full portfolio of this together. So we can call Chapek and Yellow Shoes. What was that?
Well, I said, what would your dream Haunted Mansion resort look like?
I think it's like a mix between Addams Family and the Grand Floridian, right? It's like if the Grand Floridian got possessed by a poltergeist. You know what I mean? Tower of Terror. Right. It's Tower of Terror. It's like that Art Deco, Lady Gaga's a vampire on FX. Do you have an idea, sir?
I do. So you watch the Imagineers talk about the Hollywood Tower Hotel and the Haunted Mansion, and they use two special words to describe it. And those two words are corrupted elegance. That's the hotel. That's the vibe you're going for with the hotel. Corrupted elegance. It was once
fancy. That is too strong.
It was once grand and beautiful and well maintained, but has since been dilapidated and overgrown and sketchy. But you go into your room and you're like, oh, this is a nice hotel still.
Right. It's know what? It's yes.
And then you go into your room and the big bathroom mirror you have, every now and then maybe a little ghost face, a little, you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely not.
With the Cheshire
Cat and
the Mad Hatter at Disneyland. Every now and then a light will come on, illuminating the ghost face.
Bro, I don't need that. I don't need any of that. No, stop. I don't need to be peeing at like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And accidentally poop myself. Just because I look to my right casually. You know what I mean?
There's a person
because my kids didn't turn the light off or something. You know what I mean?
This is what this episode is about now.
Yeah, I guess you just make it a villain's theme, right? But no. We need to. So Beating Heart Bride. We need to go back because I need to know. I need to know.
This hurts to get me off of this subject, but okay, all right.
The people came here. The name of this episode. I don't know what the name of this episode is going to be, but it's going to insinuate the bride. And if they don't get the bride, man, they're going to riot.
Okay, all right, guys. I hear you. I hear you want to talk about the bride.
But you know what? For the rest of the episode, anytime we have a Haunted Mansion resort idea, really for the rest of the series, we just need to. That's a fair. And people. Someone needs to start a Foolish Mortals wiki so that we can keep track of our full resort. Because we need to, make like,
It's going to be like Kevin's original plan for Defunct Land, where we're going to build the resort over time in virtual reality.
Right.
Okay.
I can't wait to figure this out.
Okay, I'm keeping that in my head now. I'm keeping that in my head for now. So we're talking about the Beating Heart Bride. You can go back. You can find concept art by Mark Davis of her. And over time, she sort of went through some evolutions. She would evolve to have, more a Victorian look, with, brooches and brooches all over, jewelry. And
very Agatha Harkness.
Yes. I got the blanket right here if I need to throw it on. You have a spookier version that would show up in different parts across the world, I should say, with pinpoint white eyes, very menacing. She's like, imagine if the original Haunted Mansion Bride was from like a Guillermo del Toro movie instead. Very spooky. You can still find her today in the
for a while.
Tokyo attic. Yeah, she got pretty intense. And then, so she's still in Tokyo if you want to look at her. But then we got Constance Hatchaway in the mid-2000s, the one we're currently stuck with, or the one we are currently blessed with at the moment, depending on who you ask. Now, Dan, are we stuck with her, or are we blessed with her?
You know what I think would make the Haunted Mansion attic, I think what the Haunted Mansion attic needs? Story lights.
What's that?
Spaceship Earth story lights. Story lights. The lights. The story lights.
Oh, story lights. I was like, storylines.
What we need is intricate projection mapping and all of that stuff to make it spooky.
Okay.
I think that the attic is underutilized. I think the attic as a whole, it's just got a bunch of lenticular prints. I think it's just very underutilized. I think that, listen, once Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey's queue happened and we got talking wizard portraits, having a Valentine's Day gift card effect is now no longer acceptable. You know what I mean? It's like I could go to Best Buy and get a gift card for $5 that when I turn it, it looks like looks like Best Buy, and then it turns into lizards or whatever. I don't know what they're doing at Best Buy these days. But you know what I mean? We're past that. The mansion needs. The attic just seems like the most underutilized space.
Right. Because the rest of the mansion is so timeless. You have the corridor of doors, Madame Leota's room, the ballroom, all so timeless. The effects still work. But then you go to the attic and the projections on Constance and the pictures, the lenticular pictures as you go by, not quite as convincing.
No. Are you okay with her? What do you think?
I said it in it's either in a podcast that we recently did or a video I did a while back, is that the stark contrast of seeing Constance Hatchaway and then immediately turning and facing the brand new Hatbox Ghost, something needs to be done.
Very dark, right.
Because this is peak audio animatronic technology being used to the best that Disney can do. And then you have a very, I don't want to say sloppy, but a very dated projection animatronic, not even projection figure to the left-hand side.
Even if it was just a hat box, with the skeleton, kind of like a singing bust type kind of gag of all the husbands' heads That's not going to fly.
Right.
We can't like have like a bunch of like with the illusion then being like the hat boxes come like the Grim Reaper to collect the next. You know what I mean? Like because I like the idea. Yeah. What we need to do is an episode. One of our guests needs to be Trader Brandon, because a good buddy of mine. I don't know if you've met him yet, but he designed the Hatbox Ghost like set. Like he did all the prop dressing for the Hatbox Ghost at Disneyland, and so he really goes like the storytelling that they did with that. And I wish that there was more of that in the attic. You know,
right.
like I think because everything in the whole ride has so much life everywhere else except the attic. The attic is just very
right. Which is strange because there's room. The attic, that room is dedicated to props. There's props everywhere in that attic, but not a lot of them help tell the story. You see the pictures and you see like the wedding banners, but other than that, there's not a whole lot of storytelling going on. It's mostly just stuff from old Tom Sawyer Island expansions that they just kind of put in there.
Or a Haunted Mansion movie chair. I think one of the chairs from the Haunted Mansion movies in there.
They're everywhere, man. They're all over the place in those parks.
Yeah, they are. It's. I mean, sure, it's a great. It feels like the part of the ride that they would have made dark. You know how like every ride has like Journey to Imagination's got one, Indiana Jones. You know, like there's that gimmick where they're just like, the darkness is the storytelling. You know, it's like it just feels like a very like devoid. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, can you imagine an attic scene where you transition from the ballroom into it and you're sort of going through a dark room, you hear the heartbeat, you can sort of hear Constance talking in the distance because obviously the audio has to be louder, but it's very, very dark, and every now and then you can maybe get a glimpse of like a wisp or your story light, like you said, a small wisp going through, lighting up, you know, artifacts or things in the attic or skeletons or whatever in the attic. And as you get closer and closer to the bride, the wisp gets brighter and brighter until it's the bride, and then you go back to the Hatbox Ghost. Can you imagine something like that?
Yes.
Right. Yes, I can. I can't imagine it. It's
yeah. I want ghosts. I want more ghosts. I want more ghosts.
Yes.
Like I want like a nosy uncle picking through some of like the stuff.
Right. Or like, shadows or sounds, unexplained sounds from.
We pass that big window. Like, let's have a burglar. Like Pepper ghost me a burglar climbing into like a burglar ghost. You know what I mean? Maybe like in the corner have like a couple make like a teenage ghost, like, you know, making out. You know what I mean? Like, give me some give me some attic storytelling.
It's not a ghost. It's not a person trying to break into the mansion. It's a ghost who probably died trying to break into the mansion.
Right,
and still trying to break into the mansion as a ghost.
This purgatory-like existence, permanently breaking into a home.
All right, I buy it. I think that would be fantastic. More ghosts. I think more ghosts is definitely the answer.
What were you going to say?
So yeah, Constance Hatchaway. No, I'm just building on. Constance Hatchaway comes in the mid-2000s, and she sort of builds upon the whole lore. So you have now a convicted, not a convicted. You have a proven murderer as the bride. Very, very crazy. You can try to see her as a sympathetic character because I feel like sometimes you can, because like you said, women back then, they were not treated well, and so hey, if George Hightower was a jerk, I don't blame her one bit. One of her last husband, George Hightower. We'll talk about that a little later, but
that Hightower, any relation to the other one?
Of George Hightower of the Hightower fortune, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll come back to that. I know I always say that, but I'll come back to that. What was I talking about?
Because we will. We'll cover all of it.
We will. Yeah. I make a note in my head. I made a video a while back ago talking about how she may be the owner of the mansion. She may have inherited from the Hightower family who built it in the first place after killing George, which gives her a reason to execute all these men. She may be the master of the house, essentially.
I see.
That's a fan theory. Probably not true, unless, the Haunted Mansion, fan theories over the years have just become canon. Like the names of the hitchhiking ghosts and who the ghost host is and Master Gracie, those were all fan theories a long time ago anyway. So maybe if it catches on, guys.
Today's fan theories are tomorrow's Imagineers, plans.
True.
So dream on. Put the energy out there, kids.
Build a small model of ghost hosts and, design some dishes that would be served in the Haunted Mansion. Like you could have the Haunted Mansion birthday cake from the ballroom scene that the ghost is blowing the candles out of. That could be a dish.
Yes.
At Ghost
Host. That feels like just like a mini cupcake now at the parks. You know how they're doing. Like we saw what they were doing with like WandaVision and stuff. Lord Jesus, they're just like they're smashing out like masterpieces. And kids are just taking these things and just punching them into their gullets. You know what I mean? Like they're paying someone like $4 an hour to make these TV cakes that a kid's just taking and going, it's
that's the chocolate cupcake, all right.
Yeah, exactly. It's a shame.
This ties back to the bride, though. Back during the 50th anniversary at Disneyland, they actually had Constance's wedding cake that you could buy and eat at the celebration. Do you remember that?
Oh, was it like red? Was it like red velvet?
It was a completely white sponge cake, and then you would cut into it, and there was strawberry like preserves or jelly on the inside. So when you cut into it, the cake would bleed. Pretty crazy, pretty cool. Yeah, and then they had a little cake topper of Constance and a headless man on top. Because of course.
Wow, I dig the idea that she's the owner.
Yeah, I feel like there could be. I feel like it's a very well-informed guess. I think there could be some. There could be something behind that.
What I like is the idea that she's the owner, and what she didn't realize was that by killing all of those men, she trapped their ghosts here, and thus by relation, all of that ghost's family then has to come to him. So you get all of his weird ghost relatives who then fill out the ballroom, because that's just a mix mash of all kinds of so that she inadvertently fills her own house full of ghosts, and then when she finally dies, she realizes what's happened, and so she just hides in the quiet attic where no one bothers her because
it's her and her true love, the Hatbox Ghost. Now, I find it hard to believe that the Hatbox Ghost, I don't know why I always thought this, but I find it hard to believe that the Hatbox Ghost was ever alive. He always just seems like the kind of guy who would have always been a ghost to me. Like a wandering spirit,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like he's that. I would love the idea of him kind of being like that kind of Grim Reaper type character. Like he comes to collect, like by collecting your soul, I was going to make another Harry Potter reference, but you don't know anything about that. So,
are you talking about the Dementors?
Yeah, those Dementors. Yep.
The Dementors.
Come on down to Dallas Dementors.
Yeah.
They're super spooky and they'll suck out your soul.
The Dementors are actually in the. I know they're called Dementors, guys. I can see the comments already. You can see them. They make an appearance on the Haunted Mansion ballroom scene, flying through the window, and they're riding bikes in the graveyard. They're in there.
Yeah, they are.
They are
looking for Horcruxes.
There's got to be one here somewhere. Can you imagine just a small boy traveling with his cane and his hat box around the town? I can't picture it. It's got to be, this guy is always a ghost.
Yeah, he's always been a ghost. Yep.
And so then we'll circle back. Remember, I made that mental note. Constance's fifth and final husband was a man named George. And you can see in the stretching room portrait, it begins as an old woman and it stretches to an old woman sitting on a tombstone. And then it stretches even further to an old woman holding a rose, sitting on a tombstone of a man named George with an axe in his head. Think about that for a second. Think about that, Dan. Have you thought about it?
Oh, wow. Really?
Have you ever made that connection? So Constance lived to an old age. That's her in that changing portrait. And right below her, the guy has the same mustache as you see in the portrait in the attic, as you see in the Mark Davis changing portrait. That is George Hightower, whose brother owns the Hightower Hotel somewhere in New York, I believe. In the real world, it's in Tokyo Disney Sea. He was also a disgraced former member of the Society of Explorers and Adventurers. Mic drop.
So if they're developing it, if they're developing an SEA TV show, what they're saying is we're developing a Haunted Mansion Jungle Cruise Pirates TV show.
So I'm glad you brought this up. They're rebooting Pirates of the Caribbean with Margot Robbie. They're doing a new.
By the way, mistake. What a mistake!
So?
What a mistake!
Well,
you know who should have been Red?
Who?
Hold on, I got to Google her because I always forget her name. I just know her name in the show. Ygritte. My girl Ygritte from Game of Thrones.
Oh, I was thinking Karen Gillan from the Avengers, from Doctor Who, but that's too easy.
She's worked enough. She's worked. Rose Leslie. She's has that voice. And she's got them freckles and that hair. She's gorgeous. She's fantastic. That's who should have been.
Okay, I can see it. So now if they're doing a Pirates franchise based on Red, if they're doing a Jungle Cruise franchise with Albert Falls confirmed to be in the movie, if they're doing a Haunted Mansion reboot, and they're doing a Society of Explorers and Adventurers series, it's got to mean something, Dan. We are at the forefront of this. We are about to crack the code.
So it's a Haunted Mansion series, and each season's it's 5 seasons long, and each season is about each different husband.
Is there enough backstory there? Because George's series would easily be the best, right?
Well, what we're doing is we're going to kind of make like a spooky Downton Abbey.
Are you not already scared by Downton Abbey? Because I sure am.
Well, I haven't watched Downton Abbey. I haven't watched it yet. I know Dame Maggie's the treasure, guys.
Right. I would walk into the room and there would be British people talking, and I would just immediately get kind of nervous. My palms would start sweating, and I'd have to leave.
Yeah, you like what British people are talking?
Ah! Dan, stop! I trusted you.
Good thing they built a Disneyland in France.
Yeah, talk about life-saving. If they had done
French accent, you're totally fine with.
I would have to leave if they. I would never ride Phantom Manor if that was in the UK. If that was in Britain, I know there's a.
I'm racking my brain right now to think of an attraction that has like a British. How do you do on Spaceship Earth with Dame Maggie Smith? No, Judi Dench.
I put headphones in and I listened to the Walter Cronkite version.
Well, that is
British. I don't know who all. I knew. Is Walter Cronkite British? I don't think he was. Is that sad? How I know about him narrating Spaceship Earth, but I don't know who he is. No, he's American.
He's a newsman.
A newsman?
A newsman.
Did he report? Yep. A newsman who reported on Dementors?
I mean, with a name like Walter Cronkite, how can you not host the news?
See, I hear Walter Cronkite, and I just immediately hear Patrick Warburton in my head. Like, that's the perfect... If Patrick Warburton did Spaceship Earth. So you're just saying that anyone who has, 3 to 4 syllables in their last name, you just immediately voice with Patrick Warburton? That is the baseline. That's I'm trying to think. If I can't think of another one. If Robert Downey Jr. came in, they'd say, "Sorry, Downey's only 2. You have to leave." Yeah, you have to leave. 3 to 4. We can't. Yeah, we can't. You can't be here, sir. You can't be here. We're looking for someone with more syllables in their last name for this, Mr. Downey. Society of Explorers and Adventurers, Constance. That I believe is everything. If they're going to do a Pirates reboot based on Red, we can only assume there's going to be a Haunted Mansion reboot based on Constance, right? It's interesting you talk about that because I know and I respect how Disney is putting more capable female characters on screen. It's a good thing and I love it. But Constance is not a good person. She's a villain, right? Through and through. Like Maleficent. They tried to make Maleficent a good guy, and those movies were terrible.
Right.
Those movies make me mad when I think about them because she's not supposed to be a good person.
Are you familiar with have you seen the new Bridgerton show? On the Netflix?
I've seen it in passing. My wife watched it. Yes, I've gone past it a couple times.
Yeah, I've watched like an episode. Try to watch an episode, and I've come to learn that it's like a show called Gossip Girl, which I also am not familiar with. You know, if you want,
right, Victorian London.
Right, it's a Victorian Gossip Girl. So here's what we need to do: we need to have a haunted mansion Victorian Gossip Girl show where the ghost host narrates it and talks about all the tea. He talks about all the tea of what Constance has been up to, as she interacts with all the ghosts. You know what I mean?
Right. That would be fantastic. And then you just go through the daily drama of being a ghost in the mansion. Like, oh, did you hear? I heard Phineas and Ezra have gotten into a bit of a tiff today. And Gus is caught right in the middle, as per usual.
Right. I'm pretty sure, you know what, come to think of it, I bet if you just put like one of those like cooling purpley bluish filters on Bridgerton and just like put on one of those like one of those voice modulators so everything just sounds a little bit spookier, you could just pretend like it was a TV show.
Right.
Yeah. And you put a fog machine in your living room while you watch it.
Yeah. Oh man. So that would be. So what do you think a Haunted Mansion movie? What would a good Haunted Mansion movie entail these days? Because we have a Haunted Mansion movie. I don't think it's bad. I wouldn't even say that it's good. I think it definitely exists. It's a movie. What's
the bride in Paris? Is she Constance too?
I thank you for getting me back on track. She is not Constance. She, as you may have heard in our Phantom Manor episode, is named Melanie Ravenswood. The daughter of oil tycoon, gold tycoon, playboy millionaire philanthropist Henry Ravenswood, also known in death as the Phantom.
Okay, you know what I would like? Here's what I would like. I would like a kind of like American Horror Story-esque anthology series where like each season it just focuses on one of the mansions. Because we have four different mansions, right? We've got the New Orleans one, we've got the Jim Thorpe one, we've got Manor, we've got the two mansions, the two manors, right? So like give us like a new original theme and story that kind of is what I think the hardest thing to translate in a show like that is funny, spooky.
It's very, very hard to do. I haven't seen it. The closest you can get is like, I think in my personal opinion, like The Dark Crystal is kind of the closest you can get to being sort of funny, sort of spooky.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, like, Beetlejuice,
that's like whimsical. I don't know about funny because Mark Davis was really a visual comedian and he was whimsical too, but I think Tim Burton and Mark Davis's style were very distinct.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like, I guess it's doable, right? It's doable to be spooky, to have that aesthetic. We just have to nail the aesthetic, really.
They've done it before. Yeah. They did it in Attraction. You just have to figure out. So this is the funny thing about Disneyland is they can translate 2D movies into 3D attractions. Peter Pan, Snow White, but translating 3D attractions back into motion pictures. They did it with Pirates. Some would say for better or for worse. But that's really the only case they have of doing it well. Because Pirates is such a broad subject matter,
Well, because Pirates is a subject matter that you can play with in a family-friendly context. It's hard to make it's hard to make, did you see the Addams Family animated movie?
I didn't. The new one I have not.
Yeah. So that's like family-friendly spooky, like it's a family-friendly spooky movie, but the Haunted Mansion would need to be like the plot device in like a bigger story, but not in the way that like they're like Gutenberging and Murphying these movies, but like in a Halloween Town kind of thing, like it's this device that they build a movie in the universe, and the Haunted Mansion's just this big set piece that the movie builds up to, like the Jaws shark or something.
Right. And then you said a different anthology for each mansion, or maybe even an interconnected thing, sort of Marvel style later on down the road. But you can have, they're all such different vibes and aesthetics. You have the New Orleans voodoo gothic sort of plantation echoes of a terrible, terrible time that are sort of resonating now modern. And then you have the New York stately mansion where there were butlers running here and there during the American Revolution. And then you have this Western mansion where it's a gold tycoon who struck it rich in the hills. And then you have Mystic Manor where it's a completely different sort of thing with collecting valuables. I feel like it would work really well as an anthology.
Is it does it just explore one storyline, or do we want like a story that like dives into like they just pick a couple ghosts and they just give you the stories of each of those ghosts through the season?
Well, the idea for Del Toro's original Haunted Mansion that he was going to do and sadly did not do was that there would Phantom Manor, I told you this before, Phantom Manor, Haunted Mansion, Mystic Manor, they would all exist in the same world, and they would be part of an interconnected web of this supernatural, oddity that would be happening in the world. And the Hatbox Ghost would be the one behind it all, pulling the strings, connecting these things, keeping these ghosts on Earth. So I think maybe you have your Haunted Mansion episode 1, Phantom Manor, and you go through the end, and then, you tease Nick Fury he steps out of the shadows with his eye patch at the end. I'm here to talk to you about the Haunted Mansion Initiative. I'm obviously not that. He's a villain. He would be a villain in this case.
Right.
He would be the one. He'd be the Thanos.
But in that idea, and to keep it, I mean, because the bride being these two, there are two separate. It's not like the ghost host or like the Hatbox Ghost or like the Hitchhiking, where there's like where they're just clones of each other, like in different areas. Like there's different iterations of a character now in this universe. Right. So like now there's two spooky, because they're not the same character, right? What is the bride in the Frontier one? What did
Melanie.
she do?
Her name's Melanie. She was a bride who was gonna get married, and her dad Henry killed the groom, and she would roam the halls until the day she died. And her dad did die in the earthquake and became the Phantom.
Right, exactly. So this is what we do. Okay. We go full King Kong Godzilla on this. We do a Constance movie, we do a Melanie movie, and then we do a Constance v. Melanie movie.
Because Constance is very much evil and Melanie is very much a victim.
Right? At the end, the Hatbox Ghost shows up and they have to team up to beat him.
Oh, man. And then you have like the ghost.
Wait, did I just explain WandaVision if Mephisto showed up? Everyone's fan theories.
This was a WandaVision podcast a few episodes ago, and we talked about how
we talk about it every single time.
By the time that podcast had aired, the show would be over. The show is now over. It ended last Friday, for us. Man.
Last we spoke, you listened.
Speaking of magic and speaking of witches, man.
It's interesting. It is interesting, the dynamic of the two different brides and how one is a victim and one is the antagonist.
Right, because, I feel like if there were to be an antagonist to the Haunted Mansion, it would definitely be the two ghosts in the attic. But then you talk about, like, who would be the good guys in the Haunted Mansion? Not in Phantom Manor, because Melanie's obviously the good guy and the Phantom's the bad guy. Who would be the good guy in the Haunted Mansion? Would it be Leota? Would it be the Hitchhiking Ghosts? Who would it be? The ghost host?
Well, I don't think that's fair, because the Haunted Mansion storyline doesn't have a hero. Right. It doesn't have. It's there. The Phantom Manor introduced that kind of idea of
someone you can root
serious, like someone wrote a mission statement for this ride. You know what I mean? Versus the Haunted Mansion, it's just like spooky. What was it? What's the magic word? It's the magic word. Corrupted elegance. I don't know if you're a Pee Wee Herman fan, but that's. how do you guys feel? I'm legitimately interested in the comments, Twitter, Instagram. I want to know how do you prefer the bride to be portrayed in the rides? Do you think it's better for the bride to be the kind of villainous kind of revenge kind of thing, antagonist, or do you like the idea of the bride being this like mournful victim that's kind of like trapped into the like very Corpse Bride-esque, right? Like kind of
it's
this
very
like
Corpse Bride-y.
This like enchanted life.
Yeah, it's interesting because Phantom Manor is such a combination of like American, Western cowboy stuff, and then you also have the very French Gothic Phantom of the Opera style things in Phantom Manor.
Someone just mentioned in the comments recently, and hey, thanks for your comments, guys, that the French people love Westerns, Western comics, Western movies. They're huge into Westerns. So shoehorning the Phantom Manor into Frontierland and Thunder Mesa was just a shoe-in for France. It was just because the French people just love that stuff. They love it.
Man.
I didn't know that.
I'm just trying to think because tying back to the movies, a movie has to have someone you root for, right? It has to have a protagonist, someone you put yourself, in the shoes of this protagonist. And they tried that with Eddie Murphy, but the Haunted Mansion attraction doesn't have a protagonist. It's just sort of a tour. It's a very passive story.
Yeah.
But so is Pirates, but they made Jack Sparrow a thing. So why wouldn't they be able to give the Haunted Mansion a protagonist,
I think that with that in mind, the characters then you're getting is like, I would love a Leota kind of like a Glinda, kind of like she's a good witch and she's just trying to keep it. She's like Zordon, she's like I don't.
She's like Spider-Man holding that yacht that's sliced in half together with his webs. She's keeping everybody sane. Well,
right. Madame Leota's the Tony Stark of the Haunted Mansion. Right. I'm gonna commission that shirt immediately. A Leota Iron Man suit, a gothic Leota Iron Man.
Would it just be like an Iron Man suit with like a bowl on top of it, or would it be like? Would it be? I don't know. What would it be? What would it look like? What would a Leota wearing an Iron Man suit look like?
Okay. No. This is the better joke. This is the better tangent to go. Leota is like a Jarvis or a Friday. Leota, right? So she stands for something, and she's a voice inside of Iron Man, but she can only give the information in cryptic rhymes and telling.
She can read your tarot, but that's about it. That's genius. And so that spirits beyond are telling me so that behind you's a bad guy who's gonna punch you in the nose. Instead of turn around, boss. And so it's just Tony Stark being like, "You got to be faster, honey. You got to be faster." I know. She's it's voiced by Eleanor Audley, so it's very elegant and very flowy, and he feels like he's always being talked down to. Genius idea, I think.
I love it. I'm here for it.
And then we have, and then in the hotel we can have a whole tie-in there. It'll be good. Disney's sitting on a gold mine, and they hardly even know.
Well, I just think that here's what's interesting, because I saw Beetlejuice on Broadway in the previews. Wow. And when I saw it on Broadway in previews, when you see a show on Broadway in previews, what you're getting is a lot of locals, because they can pour in, they can get if they're decent tickets for a decent price. They can get a seat before the Tonys for things win awards, and it becomes impossible to see. And when you're local, you just go see new stuff because life is boring and you just want to be distracted. So when I went to Beetlejuice the first time, the audience was very receptive, but looking around, it was just a lot of locals, right? And I thought to myself, this show's going to do well if it can just find its audience. And I don't know what its audience is, but if it can just find its audience, I think it will do well. And I went back to see Beetlejuice like a week and a half, 2 weeks into its opening, and I suddenly realized what the audience was, and it was just a lot of like, cat rim glasses and NPR tote bags, and like it was wild. It was wild, but like it was just a lot of like fedoras and like like giant bicycles with one big wheel. You know what I mean? Like these are the people that like were lighting up for. These were the spooky
Bubble
macabre folks out there. People who are listening to this podcast right now, who identify with being spooky and macabre, like Wednesday Addams embodiment,
Right.
adult goths. I think that there's a lot of people out there who like to celebrate that macabre, and we're fascinated by death and by the afterlife. We're very interested in it, and the Haunted Mansion very uniquely and very specifically opened the door for a lot of people to be like, oh, this is a safe kind of way. Pastor John isn't going to yell at me if I'm wearing like Haunted Mansion sneakers.
Right. It's a good way to confront the reality of death with a smile on your face in the Haunted Mansion. Because we're all going to die, but hey, maybe after you die,
Right.
you'll be swinging from a chandelier in a ballroom with a glass of Chardonnay.
Right. It's a, and also just like you said, it's a very picturesque kind of idea, right? There's no one who's really in pain in their afterlife,
Right.
Uh,
Because,
Go
ahead.
No, I'm just thinking that the only place that I see pain is in the zombie. The zombie was trying to escape, but all the ghosts seem to be having a good time.
Right. That never occurred to me before. How Disneyland, right, is this picturesque, ideal place where nothing can go wrong, and everybody's happy all the time, and everything's great. And you go to the Haunted Mansion, and that's still the case. Everyone's happy in the Haunted Mansion, like you said, except for the zombie, maybe a little confused, but that's Disney's picturesque, everyone's happy take on horror, on the afterlife, on cryptic, sad.
Well, maybe we just answered that idea though. Then about Meredith, Morticia. What was her name? Melanie. About Melanie is that in the Phantom Manor, it's the first time pain was introduced into the story. Right. Sorrow was introduced to the story, because with Constance there wasn't sorrow or pain. It's all justified to her. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's a celebration. I did. You know what I mean? She's sassy.
She's laughing.
You know what I mean? Right. She's having a good old time. Living it up.
If you listen to the Phantom Manor soundtrack, Melanie is crying in that ride. It is deeply affecting her. So you're right. This is the first time, I would say maybe not crying in a Disney park, because Winnie the Pooh, there's a flooding scene in the Winnie the Pooh ride and everyone's freaking out, but it's still very lighthearted. The first time anybody's cried in a Disney ride. Maybe. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, no, Pirates. Tell him. That woman's. And Tiny, the big broad in the blue dress before she got turned into.
I would argue that
she was crying.
I would argue Carlos's wife was not crying. I would argue that she's just angry. Don't tell him, Carlos. Don't be chicken. And then she gets shot. Well, in the original she gets shot. In the new one she gets scared. You know that story, right? Do you not know this?
She gets shot?
She is shot and possibly killed in the original Pirates. So you can watch promotional material from back then. She would say, "Don't tell him, Carlos, don't be chicken." And then the pirate would shoot. And instead of going like, "Ah!" and then closing the shutters, she would let out a blood-curdling scream and then fall backwards.
Okay. That is fascinating, and let's put a pin in that, because I have an idea that's on the tip of my brain hole that is going to blow your mind. This is how we make the attic better. There needs to be the idea of the attic is that it's Constance's stomping ground, right? And so she's a specter, she's a spirit, just like all the ghosts we just saw. She has the ability to move and phase and kind of whatever. And the attic next to each portrait should have like a mannequin, a standee with the dress from that wedding, and her spirit should be Hatbox Ghost phasing in and out all around the audit with every phrase, and she has catchphrases for each marriage. You know what I mean?
You move through, yes.
Yes, and so you're seeing her spirit storylight. You're seeing her spirit phase out because, like, ideally in the and I'm going to use Harry Potter again, but like in Harry Potter, there's lots of like the ghosts like sliding into thing and like saying a catchphrase and then sliding out of the thing. And so like if you picture Constance as being this thing where she's a specter floating around and she just phased floating into the standee of her wedding dress that's been preserved in the attic. You know what I mean? So like we need to fill the attic with other dresses.
Yes. That's pretty good. And then we can keep the idea of darkness telling a story. So you can have any part where she's not currently at sort of shrouded in darkness.
Yeah, that's exactly that. That the attic should be dark. And the only times that those areas light up, very, very Mystic Manor in the first room, right? Like,
right.
Hard pivot. We just put the music box in the attic, and we just have a full Mystic Manor scene in the attic in both Haunted Mansion and all the Haunted Mansions. And it's a tie-in, like, you know, and so everything in the attic's just alive, and it's all dancing, and it's kind of like, and so it's like the band warming up. You see all the instruments like starting to like tune themselves in the attic for the Grim Ghosts. You know that
So and then you just have Constance there in the corner doing her same old spiel. I think that's a really good point because you do have instruments tuning up in the ride, though. Can you name the scene? They are tuning up in a different part of the ride for the
Leota's room, right?
Yeah. They play the first couple bars of Grim Grinning Ghosts when she tells them to.
Wait? Shut up. Are you trying to tell me hold the goddamn phone. Are you trying to imply, bro, stop. Are you trying to imply that Leota's like, hey boys, we've got guests. I bet they're going to love a rendition of Grim Grinning Ghost, bros. They're going to be outside in like 4 minutes. Get ready. And so all those floating instruments then float out the window and start hanging out in the graveyard so that by the time we're out there, they're playing the music for all the spirits to sing along to and kind of have a good time. So Leota's like the band leader of the Haunted Mansion. Is that what you're trying to say, bro? She's the Paul Giamatti of the Haunted Mansion universe?
She literally says, call in the spirits. She's getting everyone together. You're totally right.
Just end the episode right now. That's the best thing we're ever going to say. We just need that's the greatest revelation we've ever had is that Leota's essentially just a spooky DJ.
Right. A bodiless DJ.
What was the elegance?
Corrupted elegance.
Corrupted. I thought it was disgraced, not corrupted.
Wow. We got
DJ Leota.
I would say Lil Leota, like Lil' Leota, but then that implies Little Leota at the end of the ride. Two different characters. So I don't know.
I think it's LEEO TAH, all lowercase.
Leota.
So it's like ladies and gentlemen, get up for DJ Leo.
And then the bass drops.
Right.
Wow. We got philosophical in this one. We got funny. We started planning a resort. I think this is probably one of our most chock-full episodes yet.
Yeah, guys, if you're this deep into it, thanks for listening.
Yes.
Also, let us know in the comments, and this is a serious thing. Let us know in the comments what you enjoy. Because we want you guys to like this. You know what I mean? We're very keen on listening to the things that you guys like and don't like so that we make this as enjoyable for everybody. So tell us what you like so that we can lean into the things that you enjoy us doing and providing to you. Tell us what you want us to talk about. say hi to us.
If you want this to be a philosophical podcast looking back on the emotional themes of the Haunted Mansion and Melanie Ravenswood's tragic character arc, we can do that. If you want us to talk about DJ Leota, say no more. We can do that too.
Little Leota's her hype girl.
Yeah, yeah. She just repeats every last word after she says it.
We call her Lil Lee.
Lil Lee.
Lil Lee.
And then at the end, she finishes every song with a hurry back.
Hurry back, y'all.
Hurry, y'all.
Yo, hurry back, y'all. Oh, wait, is she a bride? No, she's a little Leota.
She is a...
But she's holding flowers, bro. Tell me about that.
We talked about this, Dan. You need to go back and watch episode 2 or 1. Episode 1 or 2. She's a wisp. She's wearing a cloak, and she's carrying herbs and spices, like she's going to go to KFC and give them the recipe.
Right, I forgot about this. Right.
She's an all white because it makes her appear translucent. Yeah.
Right.
She's
hey, yeah. This was a fun episode.
This was a really fun episode. I liked talking about that Phantom Manor Haunted Mansion dichotomy there in the middle. That was probably one of the best times I've had on this podcast.
What are you saying? Has it been 5 miserable episodes for you? Is that
Dan, I gotta say, I think I gotta tell you, this episode really peaked with DJ Leota, and ever since then we've been going down. We have to cut our losses. We have to end it right now.
You know what? Speaking of little Leota, hurry back, guys. Hurry back. All right, we gotta. People like the after show though, but I don't really have anything to say for the after show other than
what's it called? Is it Foolish Mortals After Dark?
I'll just spray a little Pirates Magic Candle Company room spray.
It's non-scripted. I have Grand Floridian hand soap, and it is the most accurate smell I've smelled from the Magic Candle Company. Isn't it so good? Smells just like the haunted. I wish. Smells just like the Grand Floridian.
Don't you wish the Haunted Mansion had a distinct smell so that your olfactory, because olfactory memory is the strongest, because we have twice as many of those receptors than any other receptor, in terms of tied to your brain. So did you wish that there was a Haunted Mansion smell?
I'm from Colorado. I visited Riverside, California, when I was interviewing Rolly Crump for the Riverside, or is it Oceanside? I believe it was Oceanside, California. When I was interviewing Rolly Crump for the film festival for his documentary. Not flexing in that at all. One of the coolest things I've ever done.
Oh, anyway. Hey, you dropped something. Let me get this for you. It was your name. The name drop you just did.
I walked into my motel and I caught a whiff. I was like, this smells like the Haunted Mansion. So I had to tweet about it. I was like, hey, so is there like a building material or a something in California that they use in buildings that's not used anywhere else? Something local? And apparently, asbestos? It might be asbestos. Apparently there is. I don't think it's asbestos. Although if it was, I'd probably be dead at this point with the amount of times I ride the Haunted Mansion. I would be the 1,000th haunt. But the smell coming from this... Lots of stuff in this city that I am from is new because lots of people are coming here. So going to this motel in California and the Haunted Mansion, it has this very, very distinct, it's musty, but it also smells like old, wood. I don't know how to describe it. It's a very distinct smell that I've only smelled in 2 places, and they were both in California. Yeah,
I don't know, dude.
Come visit me for a week and then go immediately, plug your nose and then ride the Haunted
I think it's
Mansion.
because you're living up in the mountain air, bro. You are clean. You have cleaner lungs than us.
I wish I had cleaner lungs than you guys. I'm always...
Okay, seriously, though, Dallin, how was my Magic Candle Company song? Do you think it's crazy?
I like it. I think, dude, I've been trying to come up with a jingle for something for so long, just for anything. And you texted me at the gym. I was like, this is... You did it. You did it before I did it. And it was so good.
I'm gonna write you a jingle, bro. I'm gonna write you a jingle.
All right. Write me an offhand Disney jingle so I can replace the Walt Disney quote at the beginning of my videos. It's getting old for me. Write me a jingle. I will pay you 1 cent per video I put it in as a commission.
Perfect.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion.